Hey guys, long time no see. I know that it's been a long gap between my last two videos, but unfortunately I experienced some personal tragedy. My cat, Lucy, passed away. She was 12 years old and she had a pretty good life, and I've just been a little bit bummed out lately. And I was going to have this video out to you guys on Friday the 13th, but I was still kind of down then and I just didn't have the urge to make it. But I'm feeling better now. And so I thought I'd get this video out to you guys. And she was actually in a couple of my videos back in the day. And I will make a video about her at some point in the future, probably sometime next month, during a review of The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. And I'm looking forward to making that. But until then, I do thank you all for your patience, and I hope you enjoy this ranking of the Jason Voorhees designs. Today I decided to give you guys a ranking of my favorite Jason Voorhees looks and designs. We're going to be looking at 13 different Jasons in this video. The only ones that won't be on the list are the ones that are basically briefly featured, such as the Demon Slug Jason, the hallucination version of Jason, or the dream sequence version from part 5. This is only the main Jasons, and Roy will be on there as well. And I know that might seem technically like a cheat to some, but he is in the Jason costume throughout the film. So I figured why not throw him into the list as well, because it is a pretty unique look. So without further ado, let's get started. Coming in at number 13 is Jason from Freddy vs. Jason, played by Ken Kirzinger. While I really don't like Ken's performance as Jason, we're only talking about the looks of the character for this video, and yeah, it's still my least favorite, regardless of who's playing the character. They decided to replace Kane with this actor, and he's just not nearly as good as Kane in the part. The build is just all wrong. He lacks the muscle definition that Kane had, but even if you ignore that and try to focus on other aspects, it's all just really bad. He's too tall and lanky, the mask is oversized, and he has these big vented eye holes that gives him these droopy looking eyes where he looks sad. On top of that, you also have this jacket that he's wearing, or I guess you could argue it's a sweater, and I don't know what started this. I believe it was Jason X, but all the Jasons since then have had like a secondary coat or jacket, and I never really cared for that. I prefer the pants and shirt or overall one-piece kind of suit like you see in 7 and 8, and it just doesn't work here. From the lanky movements to the sad-looking eyes to the oversized mask, everything about this just is not good, and he is just a goofy, kind of pathetic looking version of the character, and one that I never liked. Coming in at number 12 is Jason from part 2, played by Steve Daskowitz and Warrington Gillette unmasked. Now this was the first time we actually seen Jason going around killing people, and the problem with this one is he's just too small looking. The overalls are oversized, and the overall getup just doesn't really work. It's also probably one of the worst looking unmasked Jasons, and that's not really a major part of this list, the unmasked looks, because it's usually a brief part of the film, but it just kind of adds to the whole demeanor here. It's okay for a first time look, you know, they were getting their footing still of the series, and the fact that it doesn't have the hockey mask is not necessarily a problem, but it's largely just a ripoff of the Town That Dreaded Sundown slasher, and ultimately it's just not a great look. Too small, kind of silly looking, kind of a hillbilly redneck thing going for him, and not one that I really care for. A solid film, but not a great looking Jason. Up next, we have the original Jason from the first film, played by Ari Lehman. Now, I debated whether or not I should even put this one on the list, but it is the first time that we technically see Jason, and it's a very memorable and definitely the best scare of the film. I do like the design, but, you know, it's not as intimidating as the big, beefy, masked killer from the other movies, but it's a nice start, and I have nothing wrong with this for a good little jump scare at the end. Not great, but a fun design and a fun little scene. Up next, I'm going to have to go with the pre-Uber Jason from Jason X. This is actually the one where you can kind of tell Kane played him, because the few times you do see him in the movie, he actually does kind of look like Kane, because the mask doesn't conceal his features very well, despite being a big hockey mask. And I think that's kind of the problem I have with this one. It just feels kind of thrown together. Jason has a buzzed haircut this time around, which is kind of weird. I'm used to bald Jason. I just went to the barber and got a buzz cut Jason. This is also the first Jason to wear a jacket, and I never cared for the jacket or sweaters over the design. Like I said, prefer a Jason that just has a button-up shirt and pants, or like a one-piece suit, kind of like Michael Myers. And this is the one that actually started the whole jacket wearing Jason, and it doesn't really work here much either. Kane still looks overall good in the part. Even if you have a bad outfit, he portrays that well, but it's just not very good looking and very unmemorable. And when you think about this movie, you don't even think about this design, which puts it this low on the list. Up next, we have the remake Jason. Now, I am not a fan of the remake, and it ranks pretty low on my list. I don't know if it's still last place for me, but it's definitely bottom three. Having said that, the one bright spot of that movie is Jason himself, and I think Derek Mears plays the character very well. However, this list is not performance based, and it's just how the character looks, and I don't really care for this look of Jason. It's essentially the same look that he has from Freddy vs. Jason, only refined and much better looking than that. And he still has similar clothes from that movie, but here it actually looks properly worn and tattered. He doesn't have the big vented eye holes, which is great. But there's things I don't like. I don't like the long blonde hair hanging out the side. It's just kind of weird looking. It's, I think, a throwback to the second film. I also don't like his big bloated neck, which just looks really odd and strange. And this might be the worst looking unmasked Jason. I will admit, when he is wearing the potato sack on his head, it does look better than part two. But that's only a brief part of the film, and most of the time he's wearing the hockey mask, so I decided not to separate the two because they're essentially exactly the same, just with a different mask. Not a bad look per se, but I have a lot of problems with it, and it's just kind of a mediocre look. Great performance, but not a great looking Jason. Up next, we have Jason from Jason Goes to Hell. This one was not in the movie a whole lot. They decided to have a body hopping kind of plot line in this film, so Jason's only on screen for maybe about 10 to 12 minutes. But I do think it's kind of a unique look. He's undead still, I believe, in this one, and he has like a bloated, kind of bubbly, almost red-skinned look in this film, and he looks a bit chunky too. Kane Hodder's actually in pretty good shape, especially back then, but something about the design of the suit and the extra padding made him look like Jason had been eating too many Jason burgers. But I still do find this one interesting. This is basically more or less the aftermath of him getting melted from Part 8, although technically this movie does ignore Part 8. But that's my headcanon for the look of this one. I think it's kind of unique. I like the outfit that he's wearing. It's just like a button-up denim-looking shirt with some pants. And the oversized head with the mask embedded into the skin just looks gruesome and horrible. It's definitely an ugly Jason, but in a good way. If you look at the behind-the-scenes pictures, you can actually see that this is a suit that he had to wear underneath the clothing to give it this design. And they definitely went all out with this one. I don't love it. It's not one of my favorites, but it's definitely one of the most unique of the franchise. Not great by any means, but I do like this one. Up next, we have Uber Jason. After Jason is blown to bits, he's rebuilt through the power of nanotechnology and comes back with a metal mask and metal components, making it look like a mix between a Terminator. It's a pretty cool look, although I do think the metal arm looks kind of cheap and foam padded. I think it's a fun design, and I think they were just having all-out fun with this one. This is the last time we get to see Kane Hodder as Jason, and it's cool that they have to go out on a pretty damn cool look. I do have my problems, like I said, with some of the padding in the suit, making it look a little cartoonishly muscular. But having said that, it's a great design with a cool-ass chrome machete and the metal mask. It's the best part of the movie, and it really is a memorable suit. It's silly and over the top, but damn it if that wasn't fun, and I like this one for what it is. Up next, I have to go Roy Burns from Part 5. Now, some people may think this one's a little too high, and that's understandable, but I do like the blue chevron look to this one. This is basically a Jason look if Jason wasn't super deformed. It almost just looks like a bald guy wearing a mechanic's outfit with a blue chevron Jason mask, and while it is a bit simple, it's kind of a fun, simplified look of Jason Voorhees. This is more or less the clean-cut Jason Voorhees, even though you discover at the end that it's not actually him. I actually have always enjoyed the look of this one. I thought it was creepy and intimidating. All in all, it works, and say what you want about Part 5, and I do personally enjoy it, but I know it's not a fan favorite per se, but I really do like the look that they gave the fake Jason in this movie. Up next, I'm going to have to go with Jason from Jason Lives, Friday the 13th, Part 6. This, in my opinion, is the most entertaining Friday the 13th film. Not necessarily the best, I still think that's Part 4, but this one is the most fun. And Jason looks great here. This is the first time that we had undead Jason. And I like pretty much everything about this look, except for a few things. The garden gloves, for instance, which he got from Tommy after he dropped them, don't really match with the rest of the outfit, and they kind of pop out a little bit. And on top of that, I think the utility belt that he's wearing just kind of came out of nowhere. I think the mask looks great in this one, and I like how it has all the damage from the previous two movies. And Graham plays the character very well, but he's not quite as big as I'd like Jason to be. Dan Bradley also played him briefly in one scene in the movie, and you can tell because Jason gets a little bit husky for one scene. But all in all, this is a solid Jason that I have no real problems with. And apart from a few nitpicky things, such as the gloves being a little bit off color from the rest of the outfit, and him not being quite tall enough, all in all, I still think it's a great look and a great film as well. Up next, we have Jason from Friday the 13th, Part 3 in 3D. Now, Richard Brooker has the right amount of height and intimidation factor, and unmasked, this might be the creepiest Jason. Having said that, though, there's a lot about this one that has a lot of little details that I really enjoy. The first time we get to see Jason wear the hockey mask was in this film, and it looks great on him. I also really enjoy the slight, almost Quasimodo type look that he has. Like he has like slightly bigger neck, not oversized like it was in the remake, but just the right amount to make him look deformed and weird. The movements are just so strange. Everything about it is just fits the look and feel of this one so well. I think unmasked he looks awesome. I think with a mask he looks great. He's just the right height and he's very intimidating. This is almost a definitive Jason look, and I think that there's no real major problems with it. The only thing that I would say is that it's not quite as refined as it was in the sequel, but it still looks amazing, and it's just a really solid version of Jason Voorhees. Up next, we have Jason from Friday the 13th, Part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan. I really enjoy this version of the character, which is contradictory to how he looked in 7 because he doesn't really have any exposed bones like he does in that movie in this one. But I still think this is a great undead Jason look. Once again, he's played very well by Kane Hodder. He has a slightly yellow hockey mask that he got from this younger guy that he killed. He has a very wet and slimy look. He's just intimidating and posing and just kind of off looking in this one. And unmasked, he's really creepy too. Everything about this one is just more of what you love from the Kane Hodder era. And it's one of the best undead looking Jasons. Great mask, great outfit, awesome wet, decayed kind of slimy look. There's just nothing not to love about this version. And it's one of my favorites. Coming in at number 2 would have to be the Ted White version of Jason from Friday the 13th, the final chapter. I really love the look of this one. This is the best refined look of living Jason. It's essentially the same as the look from part 2, but just with little things to make it better. The clothes, for instance, fit a little bit better on the character in this one. Jason's slightly bigger than he was in that movie, and the axe wound to the top of the mask really adds to the appeal of the overall look of the character. He's more scary looking in this one. The skin also has like a sickly kind of off look to it, and he's just human enough to make you think that this could possibly run into someone like this in real life, but also just off enough to make it really unsettling. He's just a monster at this point. He looks magnificent this time around, and I think that this is one of the best looking Jasons that we've ever gotten. I think Ted White, he's just the right size. The intimidation factor is there. This is the best version that we ever had of living Jason, and I absolutely love it. But coming in at number 1 would have to be Jason Voorhees, played by Kane Hodder, in Friday the 13th, Part 7, The New Blood. This is the most metal, punk fucking rock look of Jason that we've ever had. This is the second time that he was undead, and the first time played by Kane Hodder. He's massive, standing at 6'4", with broad shoulders, really intimidating build and look, exposed bone, including kneecaps, rib cage, and even spinal column. An awesome mask that's missing part of the right side and has both the cuts from part 3 as well as part 4, and the faded chevrons from the previous films as well. So the mask looks amazing. The outfit is great, basically just being these tattered remains. Not to mention the awesome chain around the neck, which is left over from the 6th film. What I love about this one is all of the damage that Jason took from 2 all the way to 6 is completely accounted for here, and it adds to the look of the film. Add to the fact that he's been underwater for probably 10 or so years, and when he finally emerges, we get a badass looking Jason. The yellow garden gloves are gone this time around, replaced by black ones. The thicker shoes and one colored outfit really does work, and this is the best Jason has ever looked in my opinion. It's such a, like I said, metal look. It's a crazy hulking zombie monster man who's coming after you, and he just looks magnificent. If you like Friday the 13th, this is the best looking that Jason has ever been, and I don't think they'll ever top this one. Even unmasked, he looks pretty damn cool as well. This really did solidify Kane as the character, and right out the gate, we had the best looking Jason with him. And though a lot of people don't care as much for Part 7, I think it's one of the lesser Jason movies. I think it's actually a really great entry with an awesome looking Jason. Well, that's my list. I do apologize that this one came out so late. But like I said, I was dealing with some personal tragedy, and the next one will be out much sooner. I do thank you all for watching, and let me know your favorite Jason looks or just your favorite one down below. And peace out.